Dear viewers, welcome to Chronicles of a Collapsing World. In the waning days of the world, there was once a small city, nestled within the hills, known by its people as Springfield, Ohio. The folk of this city lived in peace for many seasons, trusting in their neighbors and sharing their daily bread. Yet as the stars grew dim and the air turned cold, a whisper of darkness began to spread. From the mouths of those who knew not the truth, it took root in the hearts of the fearful. It began with a woman named Erica Lee, whose soul, once gentle, was led astray by shadows. In the twilight of one fateful evening, she did craft a tale, though she knew not the weight her words would carry. The tale was of cats, of the pets beloved by the people of Springs, that, it was said, were stolen and devoured by strangers who had arrived from distant lands, the sons and daughters of Haiti. The words of Erica's tongue, like poisoned arrows, found their mark not in truth, but in the hearts of those whose fears ran deep. And lo, the whispers swelled like storm clouds. Where once there was trust, now there was suspicion, and where there was love, hate began to fester. From the homes of the people came murmurs of curses and ill tidings, spread by those who knew not what they spoke. The fire of discord was stoked by those who sought to see only their own reflections in the souls of others. And so, the city of Springfield began to unravel. Kimberly, a neighbor and acquaintance of Erica, herself heard only the tale from a third mouth. Yet, when her name was spoken in the streets, the people believed the falsehoods to be hers. She, too, became a thread in the tapestry of deceit, though the cloth was woven of misunderstandings and fear. And so, even those who had been innocent were bound in the chains of mistrust. The day came when the sun itself seemed to shy from the city, its light dimmed by the growing weight of lies. Neighbor turned against neighbor, the bonds of community frayed, and the city of Springfield, once a place of peace, stood at the brink of ruin. The rumors, like a plague of locusts, devoured the joy and hope of the people, leaving only sorrow in their wake. Erica, who had not foreseen the chaos her words would unleash, now stood alone, racked by the knowledge of what had come to pass. Her heart, once light, grew heavy with regret, and her mind, once clear, was now clouded by fear. She had, in her ignorance, set in motion the undoing of her world, and though she now spoke of her sorrow, the damage had been done. The words she had uttered had taken flight, and like ravens, they circled ever higher, beyond her reach. Thus did the city of Springfield descend into darkness, and the world, once bright with promise, collapsed under the weight of its own fears. In the days that followed, as the mists of confusion thickened over Springfield, the tale, first whispered by Erica, grew monstrous in its form. Though she had erased her words from the scrolls of the great public ledger, the echoes of what she had spoken still lingered in the hearts of the fearful. And as the dark tide spread, others, unknown to her, added to the fabric of deceit. They brought forth strange signs from distant lands, images of a man in Columbus clutching a goose, and a harrowing vision of a woman in Canton, accused of dreadful acts against a cat. These tales, born of places far from Springfield, were woven into the falsehoods, twisted and turned until the people of the city could not discern truth from lies. The cries of the innocent went unheard, drowned by the clamor of the crowd. And though the guards of the city and its wise council spoke with voices clear, proclaiming there was no truth to these tales, the frenzy had already seized the minds of many. The serpent of falsehood wound tighter still. What once had been the idle gossip of a few now roared like a great beast across the land, sweeping far beyond the borders of the small city. The madness reached even the ears of the lords and princes of the realm, until it was spoken of in the great halls where the fate of the country itself was debated. In the heat of the struggle for the throne, these wicked rumors became weapons, wielded by those seeking power. The former president, known to some as Donald of the House of Trump, and his vice president nominee, J.D. Vance, raised these false banners high. Their voices thundered across the land, giving weight to the shadowed lies, fanning the flames of fear and hatred. Erica, whose heart had never desired such strife, found herself at the heart of the storm. She, who had no hand in the cruelty of men, nor in the schemes of kings, now saw her name scrawled in the books of history, tainted by the wickedness her words had unleashed. She wept, her soul heavy with sorrow, crying out to all who would listen that she was no enemy of the people, no bearer of hatred. She spoke of her blood, mixed as it was with the lines of many peoples, and of her child, whose skin bore the hues of the earth. And she spoke of her love, which crossed the boundaries set by men and their customs. And so it came to pass, as the shadow of falsehood spread its dark wings over Springfield, that the fury of the people swelled to a breaking point. The whispers of dread, which once slithered in secret, now howled in the open streets, and with them came threats of violence, both spoken and unspoken. The halls of learning and governance, where once the wise gathered to guide the people, were closed, their doors sealed, as fear and anger poisoned the air. The sound of children's laughter faded from the courtyards, and the bells of the city rang no more. Erica, whose own heart now trembled under the weight of guilt, looked upon her daughter and feared for her safety. She pulled the child from the place of learning, for the storm of attention that had fallen upon their home was fierce, and in its fury, there was no certainty of peace. Her heart, heavy with regret, ached not only for her own kin, but for those whom her words had unwittingly harmed. The Haitian strangers who had sought refuge in this land, now cast as villains in a tale they had not written. "I feel for the Haitians," Erica said, her voice thick with sorrow. "For in their place I too would be afraid. I did not mean for this storm of hatred, to come upon them." But the fire, once set, had taken root in the hearts of many, and the embers of distrust were fanned by the breath of cruelty. Far beyond the walls of Springfield, the cry of the wounded reached the ears of those who spoke for the strangers, for the exiled, and for the weary wanderers. Vanessa Cardenas, the wise woman of America's voice, raised her words as a shield for the downtrodden, declaring that the tales now told of the Haitians were naught but old and vile falsehoods, born from the same evil that had plagued the land for generations. She spoke of the peril that such lies carried, how they placed a mark upon the backs of the innocent and made them targets for violence. And in these dark days, when the banners of MAGA fluttered in the wind, the flames of political strife were ever eager to consume what little peace remained. The sword of rhetoric, sharp and cruel, had already drawn blood in the hearts of many, and in this new age, violence had become a common tongue. Erica, though she had seen the pain wrought by her words, spoke yet of a truth often overlooked. The city of Springfield, once small and humble, had in recent years swelled with the arrival of many new souls, Haitians among them, protected by the laws of the realm, but left adrift in a city unprepared for the burdens of such growth. The walls of the city groaned under the weight of unmet needs, shelter, healing, and sustenance, and in the cracks of this neglect, fear had taken root. "I did not think it would ever be like this," Erica whispered, her voice lost in the roar of the world beyond her. "I never thought my words would travel beyond the borders of our city, nor cause such strife." But the wind that carried her words had no boundary, and the storm it bore reached the highest towers of the land. It was a storm not easily quelled, for it had taken hold of the very hearts of the people, twisting their fears into anger, and their anger into hatred. And so, the world continued to collapse, not by sword or famine, but by the careless whispers that, once released, could never be reclaimed. Thus, it was recorded by the scribes of old that in the final days of Springfield, when the city trembled on the brink of ruin, it was not the stones nor the timber that fell first, but the bonds of trust between its people. And in this, the collapse of Springfield became a caution to all the lands, a tale to be told for generations, that the power of the tongue, though small, could summon forces that even the mightiest of kingdoms could not withstand. Dear viewers, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you at the next video.